The all-new DJI FPV makes it possible for anyone to achieve epic FPV drone shots.
That looks pretty cool.
And I mean anyone, even you, DJ.
How are you talking to me?
Don't worry about me. Think about you, DJ.
I?
DJ.
I?
DJ.
It was just a nightmare. Oh, Jeffrey! Bring me some breakfast.
Sir, you are a lazy slob. Take me outside to shoot 4K 60 video or I will fly away and never return.
Well, you would automatically return home anyway before you run out of battery. It's programmed into your settings so you don't crash.
I will slash your car tires.
Okay, point taken. We can go outside after I finish Philip Bloom's latest video.
We fly now.
We fly now. Ladies and gentlemen, the DJI FPV is finally here, and I'm excited to talk about it. And before this, I had absolutely no experience with FPV, so try not to judge me too hard based on my footage. I'm doing my best here, folks. But I actually think being a noob in the FPV world is perfect for how I wanted to create this review. DJI specifically made this drone for people who are just entering FPV for the first. It works for people who are just jumping into FPV for the first time, but there are also modes that cater toward more advanced, highly skilled FPV pilots, but they want maybe a nicer looking camera and a simplified drone package. We're gonna get into all of it. If you do like any part of this video, make sure to subscribe to automatically be enrolled in my camera camp coming out later this year. We'll probably do some drone stuff there. Now let's rev up our little propellers and fly into some specs. The camera shoots in 4K all the way up to 60 frames per second for that glorious slow motion footage, or if you just want an ultra smooth looking shot, or you can do HD all the way up to 120 frames per second. And all of this footage is at 120 megabits per second, so you're gonna get a lot of quality smashed into these files. Also, you can choose between the standard color profile or D-Cine-like if you wanna add a little mojo in post. Overall, the footage looks really nice to my eye, especially in 4K. And one thing that I really like is that the footage doesn't seem too over-sharpened. Older drone cameras kinda look like your Aunt Carla taped her iPhone 3GS to a motorized air balloon and flew it through the sky. But this DJI FPV 14.66mm camera looks much better than that, trust me. The auto exposure from this camera works really well. So if you're in a bright situation and you fly towards something darker, like a shadowy area, it's gonna smoothly adjust, it won't do anything sporadic. However, personally, I would love to see some more manual settings on this drone camera, similar to the Mavics, where you can change the ISO and the shutter speed at the very least, so we could get more control. But easily my favorite feature about Jeffrey's new camera is the Rocksteady EIS, and that obviously stands for Every Day I Subscribe. DJI might be mad if I didn't correct that. It actually means electronic image stabilization, and I'm so sorry for everything I've done. And the image stabilization works super well in this camera. There's no warping or weird artifacting in the image, it's just nice and steady. One thing to note is when you're flying and you have the goggles on, it might look shakier in the goggles than it will actually look in post. But just keep in mind, if you fly steady and you have EIS turned on, your footage is gonna look even smoother than it looks in your goggles.
Hey guys.
Welcome back to another edition of Show and Tell with Zach. Say it with me, Show and Tell with Zach. Today I brought to class the new DJI version 2 goggles and the new FPV controller, which actually looks like a blend between Xbox and PlayStation controllers. So all gamers will feel right at home. The controller feels absolutely amazing. The texture looks really nice, feels nice, and if you get a little sweaty like me, there's some grips on the back that'll keep you on. Keep your hands on the controller. The joysticks get tucked in this nice little compartment here on the side, similar to the Mavic controllers, but I just feel like this controller, they nailed the form factor, its comfortability, all that stuff. And I hope they bring this design into the Mavic flying experience, because this is way more epic, gamers. All you do is power this baby on, flip up the antenna, and then you're good to go with your new OcuSync 3.0 connection, which has both 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz. And baby, it hurts so good because we always connected. Now you may have noticed that there's no slot on this controller for your phone, and that's because we're going swimming in the sky. So put on your goggles. They're made by DJI. I gotta adjust these a little bit. Ouch. You gotta make sure that they're not too tight because it can hurt a little bit, but that's mostly user error. So to set up for your first flight, you're still gonna need your phone to get connected to the app, to activate the drone, get all the devices connected, but then after that, you don't need your phone. And that is what I love about this flying experience. I get tired of using my phone as a monitor for droning because it's not bright enough usually, it gets hot, it drains my battery, and my dad's calling me in the middle of flight saying, "Son, are you saving money?" I'm like, "Dad, the new FPV drone came out." Click. I'm not saving money. Now these version 2 goggles here are awesome. Keep in mind, I haven't used the version 1 ones, but these seem crispy. I haven't noticed any latency and the connection stays strong when I use the provided 4 screw-on antennas. They work good. But I must caution you, be careful because when you put these babies on, you're gonna be fully immersed. In the high quality mode, you get 810 pixels at up to 120 frames per second live view. And when you're viewing the image from your drone camera, you get 150-degree field of view. It's wide, it's so nice. It's like going from Halo 3 on the original Xbox 360 to Halo 3 on a pimped out PC. Now, when you're flying in this immersive experience, there may be a few times where you see your drone's propellers in the shot because everything's so wide. There are 2 ways around that. Number 1, make sure to go into your settings using the toggle switches on these goggles, which work really well. You can select everything in your menu, change all your camera settings with this, start recording. You can even put an SD card slot in these goggles. And that's all besides the point. Those are just extra bonuses. Go into your settings and turn on distortion correction, and that will help with seeing the propellers in your footage. And also, when you're flying forward with your drone, just make sure to tilt your camera up to avoid the propellers if you're starting to see them in your shot. Look, this droning experience can be fast, furious, and fully immersive. So I caution you, if you're gonna fly for the first time, maybe hit pause. And before you take Jeffrey sky high in manual mode, maybe check out DJI's virtual flight program first. That way you can throw caution to the wind, you don't have to worry about breaking stuff. You can't even crash your dreams in this thing. I've tried. Keep in mind, I am not a professional drone pilot. I've flown the Mavics quite a bit, but this is my first time in FPV. But I will say, in my opinion, the most important thing is the There are 3 different flight modes for the DJI FPV. You have N, S, and M. N is your normal mode. It's basically like flying any of the previous DJI drones, perfect for people who have little to no experience. S mode is a hybrid between normal and manual, which makes it simple, but you can still get a little bit wild. And then M is your full-blown Tom Cruise Top Gun manual mode, if you want to get wild, crazy, and fast. The drone does have sensors to keep you safe. It's got 2 on the front and 2 on the bottom, but keep in mind if you're flying in S or M mode, the 2 front sensors are deactivated. And you do want to be experienced and very careful if you're gonna fly in full manual mode, because this drone is crazy freaking fast. Like 86 miles per hour claims fast. If you're flying this fast, you gotta be careful, but luckily the flight experience is very intuitive and simple. If you're coming from the Mavic drones, this FPV will actually feel very similar. Basically, you just get more control, especially in manual mode. You can tilt your horizon, do crazy maneuvers, slow down really fast, speed up really fast. It's kind of a Mavic on steroids. But throughout your journey of flying this drone, you really don't have to worry too much because you do have some very advanced safety features. You get the sensors like we talked about, but also there's this awesome new feature where it's basically an emergency brake button. So if you're racing birds, flying around, and you get scared that you're gonna hit something, you just slap this button and the drone will slow down super fast and hover automatically. Good boy, Jeffrey.
I want a new owner.
You get a flight time of around 20 minutes, which as far as I've heard from the world of FPV, that's actually a pretty good amount of time to be up in the air. And also, when you turn this drone on and you take off, it marks a GPS location as a return to home point. So when you're flying around with the goggles, you can see a cute little H hovering around on the screen. That way you know where your home point is. And if your battery starts to die, the drone will automatically return back to that spot before it will run out of battery. You know, here at Kinotika, we put a strong emphasis on the fun factor of filmmaking and camera gear. I had an absolute blast flying this drone, and I wasn't intimidated because it felt familiar like the other DJI drones. I know the world of FPV can get super complex, and I really don't know anything about it, so it felt like a perfect way to just jump into that world without feeling overwhelmed. The goggles made the experience so much more immersive and fun, and the new controller delivers the classic feel of the DJI controllers, but it's redesigned, it fits better in the hand, it makes me feel like a true gamer. Listen, if you're wanting to get into the world of FPV for the first time, or you're a pro and you want a new toy with a shiny, nice camera, check out my friend Jeffrey. Honestly, he doesn't really like me anyway.
Listen, I like you, but I think we are growing apart.
But you literally just moved in.
I was meant to fly free. These walls can't contain me.
You know, honestly, I don't blame you. I've been inside for almost a whole year. I know how you feel.
I do not feel. I am a machine.
I'll miss you, Jeffrey.
I am free, and I will redefine flying.
I really appreciate you watching this video. It means a lot. If you want to come to my camera camp later this year, you can be automatically enrolled by subscribing to this video channel. Also, if you like this video, like this video. It will equal 1 Jeffrey set free. And lastly, if you want to support what I do, you can snag some merch on my website. There's links for all this fun stuff in the description. You can find my own Instagram, everything else I'm doing. I really love you guys, and I'm very thankful that I get to do this for my job. It's really weird, but it's really fun too.